Journeyman Chronicles.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It is time for the Journeyman Chronicles. That's right. How'd you guess it? Probably because you're listening to the episode right now. Chances are you knew what the fuck you were going to listen to, and I just am making things up as I go along. Don't mind me. I'm just finding different ways to open up the show. Here's another one. Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. I've got my 3-year-old walking around the house now saying mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2, because this podcast has me saying that so many times in 1 week. So I've created a little podcast monster. You're welcome. A beautiful little podcast monster. I love my daughter. I love all my kids. See how I just covered all my bases right there? How are you doing? How was your weekend? How was your week? Wrapping up on a Sunday evening, and we're getting ready to start Monday morning. A lot of people like Mondays, a lot of people don't. I'm kind of indifferent. It is what it is. What are you gonna do? I guess I'd be in a better mood, but I gotta be honest with you. It's fantasy football this year. I suck at it, and I run the damn league. I'm the proud owner of a stellar record of 1-9. I'd say holler at your boy, but no, don't holler at me. Don't at me either. Just leave me be. Eesh. A lot of people listened to the episode last week. They appreciated, the story that my wife and I shared. A lot of people knew it. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people enjoyed the Amazon review segment that I threw out there in the beginning. It's not even like something I made up. We honestly do that shit. We do corny things like that, but I like reading the reviews. Some people just crack me up. But anyway, the funny thing is that I thought I could cancel those boots, and it turns out that I can't. Amazon emailed me back, and they were like, nah, chill, fam. You go and get these boots. So I got them. Anyway, what are you going to do? Let's get started with this week's episode. Episode 11 of the Journeyman Chronicles follows Mr. Marquis Lupton. I got to meet him the day that I interviewed him. This is the first interview that I've done where I did not know the person that I was interviewing. I've been lucky enough to start this podcast now for the past 2 months, interviewing people that I know. But this was the first time that my wife went to school with Marquis, and she said, hey, I think this guy is somebody you want to talk to. And she was right. And I'm glad she did, because Marquis is doing big things. He is the CEO and owner of the Cultured Professional, TCP, which is an online podcasting and media network. And they've got a lot of great content on there. Every morning they've got the news. But here's the thing is that the Cultured Professional is helping us see black and brown people on a whole different view than what you see on the news all the time, because 9 out of 10 times the negative imagery that gets pushed mostly through social media and media as a whole doesn't help black and brown people, because there's a lot of great things, great stories that are out there that don't get covered. And this is one of the beefs that Marquis had, and this is something that he sat with me and talked about, and he's taking it upon himself, along with his wife Whitney and the crew that they got at the Culture Professional, and they're bringing great content onto the TV, on your cell phones. They got apps. They want you to see what they're doing. They want you to see other stories, hear about other stories. Why not? Man, listen, there's so much more. I hope you enjoy this interview, because Marquis is just a ball of positive energy. When I met him, I knew we were going to have a great interview, and we did. He was gracious enough to give me an hour of his time. So here we go right now. Episode number 11, The Journeyman Chronicles, Marquis Lupton. So here we are. My wife was like, I know a guy, and, and I'm looking at everything that you're doing, and I'm like, Dude, you got a lot on.
Thank you.
First and foremost, how do I say this? Allow me to take the shoes of the listener because, like I said, I'm going to learn as we go along, which is the gist of the podcast.
Yes, sir.
I've got some questions that I looked you up, but I know there's going to be a lot that I don't know. And as we go along, there's going to be more questions that are probably going to pop into my head.
Cool. I'm an open book.
It seems to me that community is huge.
Yes, absolutely.
Marquis Lupton loves his community.
Yes.
Talk to me about where this passion of yours, how it started, and how it is involved in your life to this day.
Well, it started with my parents. Growing up, we were members of Brightside Baptist Church.
Okay.
And my parents, especially my mom, really got involved. My mom started this program called the Rites of Passage program. My mom started on this dance group called the Lancaster City Dance Group.
Okay.
My mom started this Black History Bowl.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you see a trend.
Yeah.
So my mom really got involved with a whole bunch of stuff and really started a whole bunch of stuff. And then my dad supported at the beginning, and then later on he started men's group and everything like that. And I just always saw that, you know, and that's where I met a lot of my childhood friends, a lot of my friends that I call brother to this day. So, I mean, community was always special to me because one, my family's not from here. You know, my parents came here by way of college. My dad's from Philly. My mom's from Bethlehem, PA. So coming here, it was just me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. So the closest family member was an hour and a half away. So I had to, you know, connect with community and connect with the members in the community to feel like family, you know, and that's exactly what I did. And then it just really stuck throughout the years. When I went to Shippensburg for my undergrad, I joined Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
And from there we did a whole bunch of community work in Carlisle, Chambersburg, Harrisburg, you know. So the community work just kept on going.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Morgan State down in Baltimore, you know, same thing with that fraternity down there, really got entrenched with community. And the interesting thing about Morgan State is that with a lot of their majors and everything, they connect a community aspect to it.
Oh, okay.
So then that's when I first got introduced to like community journalism.
Okay.
And that's kind of where, you know, everything because I I kind of started a business back then called SOS. It was Saving Ourselves, and it was like I wanted to connect social services and media and how media can like bridge the gap between social services.
Okay,
And
I got you now.
And you know, never went beyond a business card, but that was the start of everything.
You're born and raised in Lancaster. You had brought up social services and media. And when I'm looking at what you're doing, there's a lot of, you're heavily involved in not only media content, but the portrayal of Black and brown people through media.
Yes.
Which is everything I'm seeing. I'm like, I see the significance of that. Was that always like, I mean, when it comes to journalism and it comes to, forgive me, I'm trying to, you were a news reporter? Okay. So when did this passion for that, was that always at a young age you wanted to get involved with media? And or is it just as you went to college through Shippensburg and Morgantown, that's when it finally came?
Well, your wife will probably tell you I was like I was a ham in school, you know. So the fact that I went into on TV is probably no surprise to anybody, except the fact that I stutter. You know,
oh, really?
Oh my gosh, when I was younger, it was worse. You know, I couldn't get through a sentence without stuttering. You know, so that was kind of like the first obstacle that I knew. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can do this. If I can stop myself from stuttering, then it's gonna sound cliche. I can do anything.
No, yeah.
But TV, it just seemed natural. Now, the connection to what I'm doing now, it's going through the process, going through the rigmarole of being a news reporter. Your hands are really tied being a news reporter. And my thing was, when I got in, I took this whole activist role. I'm gonna give a voice to the voiceless and cover the stories that don't get covered, and no more mugshots, because that was my thing. My mom and I we would always watch the 5 o'clock news, WGAL, and you just constantly see mugshot after mugshot after mugshot, and they look like us. They look like you, they look like me. And when I got into the industry, I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
That's not going to be me. And what you find yourself doing is fighting against a system that made its money off of that. And then you, as a singular entity, to go in there and say, no, we're not doing this, especially when you don't have no power, especially when you're the new guy, especially when you're the only person of color in the newsroom.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Your voice isn't as strong, and then this is what they like to do. Oh, Marquis is just an angry black man today.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
and then they minimize and try to take away from what you're talking about and what you want to do.
Yeah.
I remember, I will never forget this. I was a news reporter this was when I was in New Jersey, on an NBC station in New Jersey, and I was on the beat in Camden, and there was this lady that stopped me and was like, I don't feel safe in my neighborhood anymore because of you. And I'm thinking that, me meaning like, NBC, and I'm like, I'm sorry, did we report something bad? And she was like, no, not we, you, Marquis Lupton. And the way that you report on my neighborhood, I don't feel safe anymore. And it's just like, wow, those 3 paragraphs that you write, those 7 sound bites that you put into your package, that little 2 minutes, that you may think is harmless, has affected somebody in that neighborhood. Somebody changed their life because how you report. And at that time, I'm so, journal 101.
Right.
I'm just doing my job, doing what I do. I don't think about the impact. Do the story, get done with the story, and move on to the next one.
Gotcha.
And that's how the industry is. Sometimes you're tasked with 5 to 6 stories a day. So naturally, you can't get into all of the details and chase the leads and everything, call sources. Sometimes you just got to scratch the surface, and that's it. Yeah. And unfortunately, especially when you add in social media and everything, because of advertisers, they want to see clicks, likes, and shares. What's going to get the most clicks, likes, and shares? My mugshot,
right,
and so forth and so on.
It's like when you said the system is the system is built the way that it is. It's like a mouse wheel that you kind of find yourself. I'm assuming.
Yes.
You're like, I'm trying to make a difference, but I'm in this mouse wheel. Is that where you decided? Because when I'm looking at what you're doing, it's almost like you've decided, well, then I'm going to take a step back and recalibrate and do this my way. And so then I see TCP, the cultured professional, which I fucking love.
Thank you.
The cultured professional.
Thank you.
One of the things that when I met my wife, and I fell in love with her, I said, "You're so cultured. We're cultured. I love that." So, talk to me about TCP. Talk to me first of all. Where did the name come from? How did you decide on the cultured professional?
The name came from. All right, so I got out of the news biz.
Okay.
And that's a whole story in itself, because the NBC station in Philly bought out the NBC station in Jersey where I was at, and they promised us all jobs.
Sure.
And we all stayed. We didn't jump ship or anything like that, and they didn't take anybody.
Wow.
So and I was like, my dream was to always do the news in Philly. You know, always wanted to do the news in Philly. So I was
Philly?
like,
Is that your father's from Philly?
yep, my and I always loved Philly. Every time we would visit family in Philly, I just felt this connection.
Okay.
So it was like I had a whole plan. You know, I was going to graduate college, start off in some podunk town, and then go to WGAL, and then go to WPVI Channel 6 in Philly. That was my plan.
Sure.
Ha.
Plans.
Yeah.
We all got them.
That's where they begin and end. So I'm in Philly, and I'm doing a bunch of freelance work because I know how to work a camera. You know, and my frat brother at that time was starting a company, LITM, which stood for Living in the Moment, and he needed a communication manager to write proposals and like get ad dollars, sponsor on dollars and everything. And he said that, look, just like me, he hated the word urban, you know, but we had to appeal to these advertisers on the kind of nightlife that he was creating and his target audience. Okay. So like we're going back and forth, you know, and he comes up with, you know what, they're professionals, you know, and they've been around the way, so they're cultured. So let's just call them cultured professionals. So then as I'm writing these ads and marketing proposals and everything, like I probably wrote culture professional over 20,000 times. Sure. You know, and that name just always stuck. Gotcha. So fast forward 7 years after that, I moved back home. And one of the first things that I want to do is want to start a podcast. Yeah. You know, did all these odd jobs in Philly, trying to get my footing in Philly. Really couldn't. You know, tried to start a production company and everything. Gotcha. Really couldn't. So moved back home, and I was like, you know, I'm going to start a podcast. I started teaching at YTI. And little by little, you know, I wasn't making too much at that time. So it was like, I told my wife, I was like, each paycheck that I get, I'm going to buy one thing. Right. Just to keep me motivated. Yep. You know, so the first thing that I bought was the microphone. Then I bought the microphone stand just so that I can, you know, see it. Then I bought the XLR cord and everything. Then it was like, okay, you know, I'm going to get the soundboard now, you know, and from there, I solicited my best friend, Brandon Way, and was like, look, man, let's do this. You know, he wanted to do stuff sports wise, and then he knew that I had a journalism background. Okay. So we got into it, and about 3 podcasts later, 3 episodes later, he's like, look, man, what should we call this thing? Because he had a show, I had a show. We were airing out of Brightside Opportunity Center, and he was like, "We have something here. What should we call it?" And that name, Culture Professional, just always stood out. And I'm a sucker for acronyms. Okay, you know? Yeah. So,
but it's so good. It is.
Thank you.
It's so good. It's like TCP. It's like
rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. And it's just like I said, the name, and you're right. You know, when you've got a good catchy name, I don't like this. I don't want to make it sound gimmicky, but that's part of the hustle. Is I need something that catches people's attention. I don't want to go crazy overthinking it. Right. And the Culture Professional, and it's so awesome what you're fucking doing, dude. I mean,
thank you.
And I'm just getting hip to it now. I do recall seeing a video clip a couple years back when Alexandra said, "Hey, you know, check out Marquis," and I'm looking, I'm going, TCP. I fucking saw this somewhere before. I'm trying to catch up, and I'm watching. You're every morning.
Yes.
You're doing the thing.
Yes.
Talk to me about the crew that you've got working with you, the family because I have to imagine. I know your wife is doing this with you. Mm-hmm. Do you have any other family members, or is it just all friends that you consider family?
Yeah.
What's the deal? Yeah.
It's all right. So TCP at the height of TCP, we had 15 shows. We had 43 volunteers. So So from there, stuff started to dwindle down, and everything. Thank God it did. And what the morning show is, the morning show is all the personalities that really spearheaded their podcast early on. For myself, it was Hip Hop and Politics. For Sarge, it was King's Court. For Taekwon, it was 10th Floor, and for Whitney, it was The Word.
Okay.
And everybody served as a producer as well. When we first started TCP and switched up our equipment and everything like that, if you wanted to join, you had to be trained to be a producer.
Okay, I like that.
So that you can contribute
before
you start, being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So everybody that's a part of the morning show also served as a producer.
Okay.
So we just had the right connection of people, and then we started it 2 weeks after the shutdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we because we realized, like, all right, at that time we were recording out of Crispus Attucks, and they shut everything down, and we were like, okay, well, everybody's going to be home. And everybody's going to be scrolling. There's no new movies coming out, no new TV shows.
You're right. Yeah.
So people are going to want something new, fresh, every day. So we were like, okay, well, you know what? Let's start Mondays and Wednesdays with a morning show. So people can wake up to us, and then we'll just push it for the rest of the day. And come to find out, that's really what people wanted. Folks aren't fatigued from the news. That's what the industry would like you to think. They're just tired of the way that it's delivered.
Yeah, absolutely.
It like people, they're not tired of information. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, stop giving me information."
Right.
They're just tired of okay, I'm tired of seeing a burning building. Give me something more. I'm tired of seeing, this place got robbed, that place got robbed. Give me, as the viewer, something more.
There's so much more.
Exactly. Statistically, when you look at the newscast drops by 50% after the weather.
Wow.
So people are done with it.
They check out.
Yeah. People are done. I look at my weather and that's that.
I can't even remember how many times I've told my wife, turn that off. It depresses me.
Right.
Does. But it's just, listen, I try and I pay attention as much as I can. I feel like I'm very observant, but I always know I can continue to learn more. But there's times where I'm just like, fuck, I've seen this story 3 times in 45 minutes.
Right.
One way or another, and the spin. I get what's going on, but can we get something else? Like you just said, I want to see something else. There's got to be a lot more going on. I want to see, I get it. This is newsworthy, this, that, and the third. But like you said, the mugshots, the burning buildings, the negative portrayal, the sadness, the depression.
Yep.
And it is. They want a certain type of information broadcasted 24/7. That fuels you, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that just upon meeting you, I felt the positivity.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, and that's the whole point of the podcast. And I want people to know that, like, I believe in surrounding yourself with like-minded people. When I see what you're doing, like Marquis is surrounding himself with like-minded people.
Yes, yes, sir.
And you're being true to it. When I hear you guys do the morning news, you're having fun doing it, but it's being delivered.
Yes,
factual.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to me about what is it that, like, are you the type of person that looks ahead, or are you just saying, you know what? Let's just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep this going and see where it goes.
I'm always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Even though plans don't work out,
it's always it's always good to have a plan.
Yeah. So what I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to TCP in the morning. Being on a larger platform. We started making some phone calls and pitches to some places that typically don't have black and brown representation. Specifically talking about PBS. I would love for TCP in the morning to be PBS's, premier morning show on their app. Because more of us millennials, we have moved beyond TV, or we have TV and.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, you hit the new market, you hit millennials. If you have 10 of us in a room and we take a poll, how many of you have the PBS app? How many people are going to raise their hand?
Right.
And then out of those people that raise their hand, do you have the PBS app for yourself?
Or for your children?
Right.
That's the first thing I thought.
Right.
I had it for my kids.
Right, me too. So to really take that, because public media, that is going to be where TCP is able to exist. Where we're not bound down by corporate dollars. Because as a news reporter, I've had stories killed because, that's an advertiser.
Oh, really?
That's a sponsor. You can't say that. We can't run this story. And this isn't your big CNN, your big MSNBC or anything like that. This is your local news affiliate. So that kind of stuff happens on that kind of level. So with public dollars, with public media, they're not bound to the same expectations, because really the public makes the rules. PBS has a community action board, and it's a board of community members that run PBS alongside their regular board, but it's a community type thing, and that just speaks to me. I see opportunity there, I see innovation there, and I see an opportunity for growth, because now it's not just me. We can start off with TCP in the morning, and then we can treat this like the rap game. We will start off with 50, and then the rest of G Unit comes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I really ultimately would just love if PBS, along with the PBS in Delaware, MPT in Maryland, and then PBS in Jersey, if they all would have a, for lack of better terms, Tyler Perry type deal, with myself.
Okay.
So then they're allocating specific dollars for TCP, or for the people associated with TCP, to make a specific amount of content geared towards Black and brown people.
Right.
For lack of better terms, be like their Fox Soul, the PBS Soul.
Yeah.
But to have that representation, because it's not there yet with both the millennials and with diversity. So really see opportunity there.
When you have something like this on your plate, and the gears are turning, we don't see that in the spectrum that you're talking about, just like you alluded to. But there are other examples, bigger examples, where you are seeing it. You brought up Tyler Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And so is he an inspiration of yours? Who are the people that are inspiring you
today? Man. Tyler Perry, of course. Byron Allen. Byron Allen is like the premier person that I follow. And also, this may sound funny, but Master P and and the RZA. Like these are men that used what they have around them to shed a light on certain things, and then increased their platform, and they all have a community aspect. The RZA did it with 8 other people.
Sure.
Couldn't imagine.
That's a lot.
Yes it is. Oh my God. And then and then even Tyler Perry, the group of people like Mr. Brown and Tamela Mann, these are people that were rocking out with him when he was on the Chitlin chain with his Medea plays.
Yeah.
With the audio going in and out. So those examples right there. Not that I want to be billionaire status, I just want to create a space and an apparatus for Black and brown people to tell their stories. for us to tell our stories our way.
Right.
And then B, I want the community to be seen and reflected in a positive light. Like the way that people would talk about Lancaster City, and even to this day, some people, not so much now because it's gentrification.
Right,
But
right.
but the way that they used to talk about Lancaster City, you would think that it was the Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah. Even to this day, sometimes there's people that make these comments, and I'm like, "Have you been?" Like, I mean,
Right.
it's like, I can tell you're not from any city.
Right.
The way you talk about Lancaster City, it's you're right. I have a personal love and appreciation for Lancaster City. Seeing where it's going compared to where it was 25 years ago, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
Do you look at what's going on right now in Lancaster City and you're like, this is an opportunity to put what I want into motion, because there's all eyes now are on Lancaster's becoming like a little New York.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of my mentors said you won't know when it is, but you'll feel it when hustle meets opportunity. And that's like last year. Last year is when hustle met opportunity. TCP last year to that point has been going 3 years strong.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
And this was right before the George Floyd, not so much riots because they weren't riots here, demonstrations.
Sure.
And people knew who we were, knew what we did. And then when we were there for majority of the demonstrations and the presentation that we did and the news coverage and everything, that really propelled us into a new space. Because now we just weren't those podcast people. We became a trusted news source to the point that ABC was calling and using our footage. NBC calling, using our footage. We even we didn't get a nomination, but we submitted our footage to the Emmy board.
Okay.
We had a 20-minute mini documentary outlining all the stuff that happened here in Lancaster during that time.
Wow.
And
That's so cool.
Thank you.
So cool, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's that's all right. And that's when we were looked at as, okay, they're not just people talking they ish on air.
Yeah, right.
This is an actual respected news source. To the point that we are a source for some of the networks out there and the newspaper.
How does this? Forgive me. I'm naive in this. When they want to use your footage, is that like, are you right away like absolutely, or is there more like we need to make sure they don't try to cut this up? I mean, I'm sure there's some story, or do you just, how does that work?
I just say
admit it
because I mean I've been on the other side.
Okay, fair enough.
So like when people say like, oh well, no, or what are you gonna do with it, or give me $50,
Sure.
it's like, no, I can get this free from somebody else. There was 80 people down there with cameras with cell phones, so like it's I've been on the other side, so I just try to make it as easy as possible, because I know the person on the other side, they're just trying to do their job. I know that the producer, assignment editor told them to go down there. For whatever reason, they didn't get all of the footage that they needed, and they're using us as a source.
And you're building relationships.
Absolutely.
So you alluded earlier when we started talking about how when you first got involved, you wanted to make a difference. And you were hit with a cold reality check that it's not as easy as you thought it was going to be, or as clean, because of the red tape, because of the politics, because of the hidden agendas and so forth. Now that you are where you are you finding yourself wanting to, okay, now I want to get back into doing that, or is it no?
No, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done. Because I'm noticing the impact that I'm making on the local industry.
Okay.
Because of what we do. I notice Lancaster newspaper. They're doing a little bit more positive stories on Black and brown people. Since we've been doing TCP, they started a internship fellowship where they take a local student of color, invite them in, and pay them for the semester for their work.
Very good.
We noticed that WGAL has been doing more stories on our local artists. Even Lancaster newspaper doing more stories on our local artists, whether it's poetry, whether it's hip hop, whether it's dancing. We're seeing now them becoming more ingratiated with the community, you know, and we like to pat ourselves on the back.
Absolutely, they feel the push.
And exactly, you know. So I couldn't have done that, you know, being a employee of the newspaper, of the TV station, you know, and that wasn't even my goal or point. You know, I just wanted us to have a voice because I know that we don't have one, you know, and it was just so frustrating, you know, to be in an industry where you have one of the largest microphones in the area, but you can't use it like you want to. You know, that's devastating.
You're calling audibles and you're trying to say, okay, well, if I can't go through the door this way, then I'm going to make my own path around the back. And you're doing, like I said, I encourage everybody who's listening right now, the cultured professional. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. They go live. Are you going live every morning, or is it just Monday and Wednesday still?
No, it is. It's Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
Every Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Okay.
And then we have evening shows that come on as well.
Okay.
We have Reset with Pastor Sherry that comes on Thursdays. We have our specials, TCP Talks, that comes on Wednesdays once a month. We also have coming on at the end of this month the Murray Experience, which is a husband and wife, millennials that have been married for 17 years, have been together for 20 years.
Okay.
And they talk about their life experience and how to deal with being married under 40. You know, and what we have to deal with versus what our parents had to deal with, and they have interviews and have like games that they do to enrich communication between marriage. One thing that I really wanted TCP to do is that we want to utilize community members and turn them into journalists.
Okay.
So that community member can feel empowered, and people also, they know that community member, they like that community member, they trust that community member. You know, like, we're not doing brain surgery here. Anybody can be a journalist with the right type of training.
Sure. So is that what you're offering training? Or?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
And we have on the other side of things, we have a nonprofit called Positive Media Academy. And with that, we teach kids from 1st to 9th grade. We teach them about media.
Okay.
We teach them about blogging. We teach them about news gathering. We teach them how to make a video go viral. You know, it's not by accident. Like,
right.
there's a formula to it.
Right.
You know, we tell them, we have a whole lesson about before you hit send. You know, whether it's your Snapchat, whether it's your Twitter, whether it's your IG, this is going to follow you for the rest of your life.
Pay attention to a lot of athletes.
Right.
That happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
You know, so our thing is education also, to get Black and brown kids interested in the news. Because if we can get them interested in the news, then all of that stuff with the mugshots and everything
Changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so cool. You're starting young, and you get that's really what you have to do, and it makes sense when you break it down like that.
Mm-hmm.
You had brought up millennials that were married or together for 17 plus years, and you had mentioned marriage. Your wife's name, forgive me, is Whitney?
Yes.
You and your wife, she's in this with you. Is this something that she? You said that she also had her own podcast.
Yep.
Talk to me about everything that you're doing and how busy you are. because I know you're busy. I mean, I know I'm busy, but then I see what you're doing. I'm like, wow, this man is busy, but you're maintaining it. And talk to me about the schedule and the family life, if you don't mind, and how you and your wife manage and maintain it.
Oh well, this thing don't happen without her.
There you go.
I mean, because because I'm taking on the A stuff. I don't have the time, to pay attention to the B and C stuff.
Fair enough.
And the B and C stuff is just as important, if not more important than the A stuff. Like, for instance, she does the marketing. She does the social media posting. My wife changed her whole everything because of TCP. Talking about social services, she graduated from Millersville with her bachelor's degree in social work. She was working for children and youth. She then got out of it to start doing marketing for TCP. Went back to school, got her master's degree in marketing, digital marketing to be specific, and she just took control of it. And we would not be where we are at today without that, because there are people, we'll go into rooms with potential advertisers, and they praise us because of the social media presence. They praise us because of how a flyer looks, or how consistent we are with our messaging and marketing. That's her. That our emailing list, I wasn't thinking about no emailing list. Like, she was trying to get an emailing list at the beginning.
Wow.
And I told her no for like the first year. No, we don't need it. We don't need it. But she is on it. She is in tune, and I mean, she's a star. It's really good to see her in her element, because I really feel like this is what she was supposed to do. And it's not like this was like an overnight thing. Years ago, living in our apartment in Jersey, we would practice.
Okay.
And I would have little videos, and she would work on her camera presence.
Okay.
Because she was like, one day I would like to try this. It looks fun, but I don't want to look stupid when I go on air. So like, this is something that she really practiced, and we communicated about for years. So then when her job at the Science Factory ended because of COVID, it was just seamless.
Wow.
And I mean, revenue picked up like that. This clock don't tick without her.
It's like the strength of a woman just keeps everything in order.
Yes.
And I think when you're I feel like as a man, when you mature enough, when you get to the point where you can admit that and be proud of that. I say that all the time about that. I just told my wife that. I said, baby, you make this house look so fucking cool. Like, she comes home from work and she tackles it. And I try to do as much as I can. And I'm like, I'm so grateful. So I completely understand and I think that's cool of you to admit that, because you don't see that very often. I think, like I said, when we get older as men, it's cool to be vulnerable enough to say, I can't do this without her.
And if I can be even more vulnerable,
sure.
I don't want people to think that it's easy.
There you go. Thank you.
Because Lord.
Yeah, everybody's got those beautiful Instagram photos. All their couple photos.
Right.
It's not, there's a lot of dark days.
Right. And like, I mean, like especially when you are in business with your spouse.
Okay, yeah.
Like it gets to a point where, like, you have to sometimes, when the conversation is beginning to escalate a little bit, it's like we have to stop ourselves, like, okay, hold on, Is this a marriage thing?
Yeah, it's like, are you bringing work home? Like, how do you do that? Are you like, okay, look, because you're in this together. You're very passionate about it,
Right.
both of you. So, is there a point where you're like, we turn that off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave ourselves a work schedule.
Oh, okay. Cool.
A traditional work schedule, 7 to 3:30, and at 3:30 we clock out at the studio, go pick up the girls from after school care.
Cool.
And we go home, and at least that first hour is just family time. Cool. If there's anything that I have to bring home from the office, any like editing or anything like that, or if I have to send out any last minute emails, that doesn't happen until after 5.
Okay.
So then we can kind of break it up like a traditional type work day.
Yeah.
Because in this entrepreneurial world, like, you can find yourself working 24 hours, and you have to set those hard boundaries. Like, that's one thing that I really do miss about a traditional job, is that there was a hard separation.
Sure.
It really doesn't come home with you. And if it comes home with you, the whole entire business doesn't come home with you.
Right.
But having a wife, share that burden, it helps. It really does help.
I think it's cool that you took initiative, both of you actually, to break it up. Then that's discipline, which is a pillar, and I feel that discipline is a pillar in relationships and family. You have to be disciplined. I know when I come home from work, I don't typically bring anything that I'm dealing with home with me. I have a really boring job, so that helps. And my kids say, "How was work, Dad?" And I'm like, hey, "Work was work." But then I find myself like, well, maybe I should, be talking about it with the kids. And no. I like to leave it at work, and the same thing goes for work. I'm sure when you're at work, whatever we're dealing with at home, can we leave that at home? Congratulations, because like I said, and I know I only see what's posted.
Oh yeah,
you're busy. You're busy. You got your hands full, brother. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy, coming out. Hopefully we can keep in touch. And,
oh yeah, absolutely,
man. Because I like you, man. You seem like a cool cat.
Appreciate it.
A lot of friends of my wife's I like, and you graduated from Catholic.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
02?
Yep, class of 2002.
Okay, because you must have came in right. I graduated in '98 from Catholic.
Oh man, so if you graduated 98, so then I just missed you. Yep. Because when I came to Catholic, Testa was a senior. Not Greg Testa. His Brad Testa was a senior.
I don't know if I got to be honest with you. I was such a loner. And
if it wasn't for the Resurrection crew, like your wife and them, I would have been more of a loner. Like my ninth grade year at Catholic High was terrible.
Oh really?
Oh my gosh, I hated it. I was just coming from Wheatland.
Yeah. Oh really? You went to Wheatland also?
Yep. I went to Wheatland when it was like
it was still junior high.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they switched my 8th grade years.
Okay.
So
wow.
and that was part of the reasons why my mom and dad took me out of the school district of Lancaster. But yeah, Alex and her Resurrection crew like really made me feel comfortable, and it really put me in a vibe with the school, so that I was able to do the things that I could do because I was surrounded by my people, and I'm thinking about it, I'm guessing that as well also played a part in why community means so much. Because at Catholic High, we had a minority table. We made sure that we always made space for the new minority to come to on the table.
Are we talking about lunch?
Yep. Lunch table.
So you're talking about legit, you're breaking bread and you got the tables. This is where you're welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And
I remember having that. I think I was one of like 3 or 3 Puerto Ricans in my class. I don't remember having that.
Yeah, and it was a sense of community.
Yeah.
You know, that sense of family and everything. And like it would transcend from the lunchroom to on the bus to at dances, football games and everything, even down to the support for the basketball games. Like I knew that my squad, my family had my back, you know, and that just meant so much, especially when you're not in a city where you can call up your cousin and say, hey cuz, can I come over? You can call up your uncle and everything like that. So my community was my family. My family was my community.
So cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, I like meeting new people, hearing the journey, and now I feel inspired. I appreciate you sharing your story with us, man.
Yes, likewise.
Marquis Lupton, I encourage everybody, please go check out The Cultured Professional, because it's a fucking dope-ass name. They've got a lot going on. They're doing a lot of good things for the community. There's a lot of passionate people involved. Go check it out. Thank you again, man.
Oh, yeah, no time.
It's one of those episodes that I just didn't want to end. I could have kept talking to Marquis for a little bit longer, and maybe one day we can do that. I encourage you all, though, to check out what he's doing. The Culture Professional, TCP, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Look it up. Google them. They're doing a lot of great work. Him, his wife, Whitney, everybody else that's involved, that's doing their part. Big ups. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story on the Journeyman Chronicles. Hope you guys enjoyed it. However, this journey now must come to an end so that we can prepare for the next one. That's life. You like that segue? That's pretty dope. Y'all be safe. Remember, maintain focus and stay continuous through all 4 seasons. Peace.